So we have the first video all about a single year in PC gaming history. We've already been over the reasons why this was the first year I'd singled out for my video series. The year of the video games collapse was the start of the PC gaming boom. With the competition out of the way, PC games started to gain strides in the market. So we start our journey properly right here, in the year that Margaret Thatcher got re-elected, Kiss appeared without their signature makeup, and the debut of the now famous Thriller video. It was also the year that my mum and dad decided that having a kid was probably a good idea. I'm the Geeky Dad, and this is a history of PC gaming. So let's start with the big one, the video games crash of 1983, more accurately called the Atari crash in Japan. Well played, Japan. The story of the 1983 video games crash is a famous one, and it's been documented well by other folks, so I'll only give a brief overview here. In 1983, the home console market was saturated with too many consoles and too many video games of low quality. As such, the demand for console games declined to the point where Atari secretly buried much of their unsold stock. If you want more information about the causes of the video games crash, then I highly recommend a video by Ahoy, which details the ins and outs of the crash. Link in the description below. So what impact did this have on PC gaming? Well, it cleared out the market. The price of home computing was coming down at the same time as the market was becoming saturated with too many console rip-offs. The removal of consoles as a major competitor also helped boost the sales of games for PCs and other home computers. Another knock-on effect of the crash was the rise of the bedroom coder. Prices for home computing had made machines like the Spectrum ZX and Commodore 64 affordable enough that they were getting into hundreds and thousands of households. More and more people took up rights in their own computer games, and as the cost of production was cheap, many of these games made it to market. The quality of these games far outstripped the shovelware that was being produced for the console markets at the time. It was in these fertile grounds that PC gaming started to rise like a phoenix. No, not that one. From the ashes of the video games crash. Ultima3 Exodus was released in 1983. The Ultima series is renowned for setting the baseline for many RPGs in the years to come, and Ultima 3 was a bit of a breakthrough. Graphically, Ultima 3 was revolutionary as it had animated characters. It also had solid 3D dungeons, whereas the previous two Ultima games only displayed their dungeons in wireframe. Alongside the excellent graphics, well, excellent for 1983, Ultima 3 had many of the features you'd expect from a role-playing adventure. Players would choose their characters from a number of different classes who had different strengths and weaknesses. Players would level up their characters by fighting monsters to gain experience points, and it also used turn-based combat to fight these monsters. Ultima 3 put a lot of work into the plot of the game, which became one of the main selling points. It was wildly heralded by the gaming press of the time. Softline magazine said the game upgrades the market in several ways. It sets a new standards for fantasy gaming. The reception of Ultima 3 was so good that it laid the foundation for future RPGs. It is said to be known to influence both Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, but they're not part of the PC gaming master race, so stuff them. Still, the influence of Ultima is without doubt, and Ultima 3 was a quantum leap forward in RPG games. Not everything we talk about in this series is going to be a boon to PC gaming. You can't talk about the history of PC gaming without talking about the ugly parts. So 1983 saw the first games to be released by a company that went on to become one of the most hated companies in the world. Electronic Arts released 6 games in 1983 as their debut series. Those games were Archon, The Light and the Dark, which was a chess-style strategy game, Mule, a strategic economic multiplayer game, Murder on the Zindanoof, a detective game which was a bit like Cluedo on a Zeppelin, Pinball Construction Set, where players could make and play their own pinball tables, a platforming game called Hard Hat Mac, and Worms, which was a simulator of Patterson's Worms, or whatever the hell that is. These games were genuinely well received by both the gaming press and players alike, which cemented EA as a stalwart of video games publishers. Oh, how times have changed from those early days. If only it had stayed as a publishing house that wanted to promote their developers, rather than one that wanted to destroy great video games companies. Not that I'm bitter. Ah, Bullfrog, we hardly knew ye. One of the mainstays of modern PC gaming is level editing and modding. One of the first titles to be released with its own level editor was released in 1983. Loderunner was a puzzle platformer released by Broderbund Software. The story goes that developer Douglas E. Smith put the level designer into the game at the behest of some neighbourhood kids he was testing the game on. Many of the levels the kids designed managed to make it into the production game. However, the source of this information is John Romero, who I'm sure is entirely reliable. Loderunner was different from most platform games of the time, being slower paced and more puzzle focused rather than relying on twitch mechanics and precision jumping. The game was well received and went on to sell 250,000 units. PC Magazine gave the game 16.25 out of 18, which is the most messed up scoring system I've ever seen if you ask me. The magazine went on to say Loderunner uses the power of the PC to create something more than a video game version of ping pong. This game requires thought too. High praise indeed for a magazine that rates things out of 18. So that's it for 1983. What do you guys think? Have I missed out a stonking PC game or great event from 1983? Do you have fond memories of Ultima or any of the early EA releases? What about Loderunner? Please leave me a comment with your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. I've been the Geeky Dad, and this has been a history of PC gaming.